Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we'll be exploring how Agile principles can help us navigate an AI-powered future. We'll be referencing this video presentation we found. It really dives deep into four key Agile principles that are often misunderstood and shows how those principles are becoming.
Yeah, it's exciting to see how agile principles initially rooted in software development, are becoming more and more relevant across all industries, really, especially with the rise of AI.
Absolutely. And, one of those things that really stood out to me in this presentation is the idea that Agile isn't just about speed, like churning out work faster and faster. It's about creating a sustainable and human-centered work environment, even as AI becomes more integrated into our workflows.
Absolutely. And, that leads us to our first principle from the presentation, building around motivated individuals.
Oh, yeah.
This principle really challenges the traditional, command and control approach to work.
Okay, so instead of just, barking orders and expecting people to just blindly follow, it's about creating an environment where individuals feel valued, empowered, and motivated to contribute their best work.
Right. The presentation really emphasizes the importance of trust and autonomy. Instead of micromanaging every little detail, leaders need to shift their focus to removing obstacles and providing the support their teams need to really excel.
That's interesting. So this brings up an interesting point. The presentation mentions that some leaders really struggle with this idea. Letting go of control, it's almost like a complete shift in mindset, isn't it? How can leaders effectively make this transition to a more empowering leadership style?
Well, that's a great question. One of the key takeaways from the presentation is that leadership in an agile context is less about directing and more about facilitating. It's about creating a shared vision, clearly communicating goals, and then empowering individuals to kind of find the best path forward.
So it's about setting the stage and then trusting the team to figure out how to get there.
Exactly, and that ties into the next principle, face-to-face communication in a digital era.
Now I know what you might be thinking. How is face-to-face communication even possible in today's world? We have remote work, virtual teams, all these digital tools,
Right.
especially with AI tools like chatbots and virtual assistants becoming more broken. Does that mean we're doomed to a future of miscommunication and misconnections?
Well, not necessarily. The presentation actually offers some really practical insights into how we can make virtual communication more effective. It's not about abandoning digital tools altogether, but it's about using them strategically to enhance human connection rather than hinder it.
Okay, so how do we do that? Because let's be real. Emails and instant messages can sometimes feel like a black hole of information. You send a message, and then you're left wondering if anyone actually read it, let alone understood it.
I think we've all been there. The presentation suggests that whenever possible, we should prioritize video conferencing over text-based communication. Seeing each other's faces, hearing each other's voices, and picking up on those subtle nonverbal cues can make a world of difference in terms of clarity and understanding.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about creating a more human experience even within a digital environment.
Precisely. And remember, it's not just about the technology, it's about the intention. We need to be mindful of how we're using these tools and make a conscious effort to foster genuine connection and collaboration.
All right, so we've talked about building motivated teams and the importance of effective communication. Now let's dive into the third principle, working products as progress. This one seems pretty straightforward, but I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right. This principle challenges the traditional way of measuring progress, which often focuses on, completing tasks or hitting milestones.
So instead of just checking boxes on a to-do list, it's about delivering tangible outcomes that create real value.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's about getting something out there quickly, learning from it, and then iterating based on real-world usage.
Precisely. And this ties back to the principle of building around motivated individuals. When teams are empowered to deliver working products, they see the impact of their work and feel a greater sense of ownership and accomplishment.
Yeah, it's like a positive feedback loop. The more they deliver, the more motivated they become. And speaking of sustainability, that brings us to our fourth and final principle for today's deep dive, sustainable delivery.
This principle is all about maintaining a consistent pace of work without burning out.
So it's not about sprinting to the finish line and collapsing in exhaustion, but about finding a rhythm that allows teams to deliver value over the long haul.
Exactly. The presentation introduces a concept called flow, which is that state of optimal performance where you're fully engaged and energized by your work.
Now, I've heard of flow in the context of, creativity and productivity, but how does it relate to sustainable delivery in an agile context?
Well, imagine a team that's constantly pushing themselves to the limit, working long hours, and sacrificing their well-being just to meet deadlines. That's not sustainable.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for burnout and resentment.
Exactly. Sustainable delivery is about creating a work environment where individuals can thrive, not just survive. It's about finding a pace that allows teams to consistently deliver value without sacrificing their well-being.
Okay, so it's about finding that sweet spot between productivity and well-being. Now, this might seem counterintuitive, but the presentation suggests that AI can actually play a role in supporting sustainable delivery.
That's right. AI has the potential to automate repetitive tasks, streamline processes, and free up human teams to focus on higher value activities that require creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving.
So instead of replacing humans, AI can actually enhance our capabilities and create a more sustainable and human-centered work environment.
Exactly, and that's what makes this conversation so exciting. We're not just talking about technology, we're talking about using technology to empower humans and create a better future of work.
So we've covered 4 key Agile principles today: building around motivated individuals, face-to-face communication, working products as progress, and sustainable delivery.
And we've explored how these principles can help us navigate an AI-powered future, where work is more human-centered, sustainable, and fulfilling.
Exactly. And remember, if you want to dive even deeper into these ideas, be sure to check out the link to the full video presentation in the description below. It's definitely worth a watch.
Absolutely. It's full of insightful example and practical tips that you can apply to your own work, whether you're in software development or any other field, really. It's fascinating to consider how these seemingly simple agile principles can have such a profound impact on the future of work, especially as AI continues to evolve.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, when most people think of Agile, they automatically think of software development. But this presentation really drives home the point that these principles are applicable to any type of work, any industry, really.
Absolutely. And one of the key takeaways is that embracing agile values, principles, and practices now is essential preparation for an AI-powered future.
Right, because if we're stuck in those old ways of thinking, those rigid hierarchical structures that were built for a different era, we're going to be left behind.
Precisely. The presentation draws a parallel between traditional waterfall project management and agile. Waterfall is like trying to navigate a complex landscape with a fixed map. You plot your course in advance and stick to it, even if you encounter unexpected obstacles or changes in terrain.
So Agile's more like having a compass and a set of guiding principles that allow you to adapt to the terrain as you go.
Exactly. Agile is all about embracing change, iterating rapidly, and continuously improving based on feedback. And those are precisely the skills we need to thrive in an AI-powered world.
Yeah, because let's face it, the pace of change is only going to accelerate. AI is going to automate tasks, create new possibilities, and fundamentally change the way we work.
Right. And if we're clinging to outdated processes and mindsets, we're going to be like that deer in the headlights, frozen in place while the world whizzes by.
Okay, so let's talk about how Agile can help us bridge the gap between where we are now and this AI-powered future. The presentation mentions that Agile has already significantly sped up work compared to traditional waterfall methods.
And AI has the potential to amplify that speed even further. We're talking about shrinking delivery cycles from days or weeks to mere hours in some cases.
Wow, that's incredible. But it also begs the question, are we as humans even equipped to handle that kind of speed and change?
That's where the human-centered aspect of Agile becomes so important. It's not just about going faster, it's about going faster in a way that's sustainable and fulfilling for the people doing the work.
So it's about finding that balance between leveraging the power of AI and preserving our human creativity, well-being, and sense of purpose.
Exactly. The presentation makes a compelling case for why Agile is more than just a set of tools or processes. It's a philosophy, a way of thinking, and a culture that can help us navigate the complexities of an AI-driven world.
Yeah, it's like Agile provides the framework for humans and AI to work together effectively, each playing to their strength.
Right. AI can handle the repetitive, data-driven tasks, freeing up humans to focus on things like strategy, creativity, and innovation.
It's like a partnership where each side complements the other. But of course, there are going to be challenges along the way. I mean, not every organization is going to embrace Agile principles overnight.
Of course not. Change can be difficult, especially when it disrupts established ways of working. But that's where leadership plays a crucial role.
So leaders need to be champions for Agile, not just in word, but in deed.
Absolutely. They need to understand the principles, embody the values, and create a culture where experimentation learning and continuous improvement are encouraged.
The presentation also emphasizes the importance of transparency and communication. Leaders need to clearly articulate the vision for an Agile future, address concerns about AI and automation, and ensure that everyone feels heard and valued throughout the transition.
It's about creating a sense of psychological safety, where people feel comfortable taking risks, making mistakes, and learning from those experiences.
Yeah, because let's be honest, there's going to be some fear and uncertainty as AI becomes more integrated into our workflows.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to focus on the human side of the equation. We need to ensure that AI is used ethically, responsibly, and in a way that benefits all stakeholders, not just a select few.
So it's not just about adopting agile tools and processes. It's about creating a culture that embraces the values of collaboration, transparency, and continuous learning.
Precisely. And that's what makes this conversation so exciting. We have the opportunity to shape the future of work in a way that's both innovative and humane, leveraging the power of AI while preserving our human values.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm struck by the idea that Agile isn't just a methodology, it's a mindset, a way of approaching work and life that's adaptable, resilient, and ultimately human-centered.
I couldn't agree more. It's about embracing change, fostering collaboration, and continuously striving for improvement, not just in our work, but in ourselves.
And remember, if you want to explore these ideas in more depth, be sure to check out the link to the full video presentation in the description below.
It's a thought-provoking and inspiring resource for anyone who's curious about the future of work and how Agile principles can help us navigate it successfully.
It really does feel like we're on the verge of a massive shift in how we work. And, Agile principles kind of offer a roadmap for navigating this uncharted territory.
Absolutely. And while AI is often portrayed as this threat to human jobs, this presentation actually takes a more optimistic view, suggesting that AI can enhance human capabilities and even create new opportunities.
Yeah, it's like AI can take care of the, routine, mundane tasks, freeing us up to focus on more creative, strategic, and fulfilling work.
Precisely. The presentation even uses the analogy of a chef and a sous chef. AI can be like the sous chef prepping ingredients, chopping vegetables, handling the more repetitive tasks, while the human chef focuses on the artistry, the flavor profiles, and the overall culinary experience.
Oh, that's a great analogy. So instead of fearing AI, we should be thinking about how we can leverage it to amplify our own strengths and create a more, human-centered work environment.
Exactly. And that's where Agile culture comes in. It's about creating a culture of collaboration, experimentation, and continuous learning, where humans and AI can work together seamlessly.
Well, let's be realistic. Implementing Agile principles isn't always easy. There could be resistance from people who are used to traditional ways of working.
That's true. Change can be challenging, especially when it disrupts, long-held beliefs and practices. The presentation emphasizes the importance of addressing those concerns head-on and communicating clearly about the benefits of Agile.
So it's not just about implementing new tools and processes. It's about changing mindsets and fostering a new way of thinking about work.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture where people feel empowered to experiment, take risks, and learn from their mistakes.
And it's about leadership setting the tone, demonstrating those values in their own actions.
Right. Leaders need to be champions for Agile, not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. They need to create a safe space for people to try new things, fail fast, and learn from those experiences.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Agile principles for an AI-powered future, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the future of work isn't about humans versus AI. It's about humans and AI. It's about leveraging the power of technology to amplify our own strengths and create a more human-centered, sustainable, and fulfilling work experience.
It's about embracing Agile values, principles, and practices, not just as a methodology, but as a philosophy, a way of approaching work and life that's adaptable, resilient, and ultimately empowering.
Exactly. And if you're interested in exploring these ideas further, we highly recommend checking out the full video presentation. You'll find the link in the description below. It's full of insightful examples, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will help you navigate this exciting new era of work.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. And remember, the future of work is in our hands. Let's shake it wisely.